Hey guys, Clumsy here. How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining. Welcome back. Clumsy flying today. How is everyone this fine Wednesday morning? I know it's Tuesday evening for some. The beauty of time zones. How are you guys? Glad you could join. Welcome back. Hey, Johnny Flight Sim, thank you for subbing. Appreciate that. GG, man. How are you? Welcome to the stream. One second, huh? Let me just... because some of the logins suddenly have not been working. So let me just continue logging into my devices so I can see the stream properly. New Nintendo console. Is there one? What's it called? I didn't even know there was something. Alright. So who do we have in chat? Scotsman, ever first. Welcome back, man. How are the trains going? Making them run on time. Glad you made it, Tom. Just got back from McDonald's in time. Awesome. Sounds like a nice way to spend the stream. What did you get? Hey, Bao. Glad you made it today. Pretty late in there, huh? What time is it? Like 3 a.m.? Goodness. Well, I'll up for some old school flying today. We'll see. That's something you enjoy. Hey, bro. Hey, Patrick. How are you, man? Glad to see you here too. Fancy meeting you here. We were just in Jack's stream a while ago. Geek Squad, how's it going? No worries, Tom. Not gonna get it. It's called Switch OLED model. So it's just like the Switch but with a different screen or something. Probably 305. Yikes. Long time watcher, first time catching a live stream. Oh, that's amazing, man. That is amazing. Thank you. Means a lot. Are you in Discord yet? If not, !Discord gets you there. Would love to have more, especially Flight Sim guys joining the community. I'd love to grow this because oftentimes when I share what's been happening with me in the Flight Sim department, no one else can relate. Yeah, but we're growing bit by bit. So that's great to hear. Yes, there you go. Thanks, Scotsman. So what are we doing today? We are flying the DC-6 again today. Learning more about the systems. Learning more about the different intricacies. And there's a video coming out later in the channel. In the YouTube channel. If you are not there yet, !YouTube gets you there. Subscribe. Hit the bell icon and stuff. Enjoy the videos. Let me know if you like them. Later, there will be a video coming out on the DC-6 where I show the streamlined checklist I've been working on. Let me share that here. That's this guy. So similar to the CRJ, what I did for the CRJ, I made one for the DC-6. And this one in particular tries to optimize some of the elements. So I know we have an in-game checklist already, but it's a bit cumbersome to go through the list one by one and like tick, check, and then go to different views for each one. So I tried to group them all together so that we have like a flow, right? Oh, this panel, what do we need to do? Everything we need to do in this panel. So that's why we have these like boxes separating each one of them. So each of these are in a separate specific panel. So we do everything we need in one panel, move to the next. So it's flowing. And by the time we reach the end of the panel, we are all good for engine start. We'll see how well that works later as we start up. Okay? Anyway, let's go and start. We are starting in Copenhagen today, making our way to France, to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. don't hate me. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you get the point. Now, which airport was that? Echo Golf Charlie Kilo, was it? Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. Oh, I completely butchered that. is the Kastrup airport in Copenhagen. Nice. Let's put it around 6 a.m. Everything else can be, no, not live, all players. Live traffic, and if anyone wants to fly along, you are more than welcome to join. Let's go for gate F92 here. I think that should work fine. Let's try that one. Go to the UK and bring me that monitor arm with a $700 shipping fee. My goodness, that's the biggest shipping fee I've seen. I didn't even realize it. So this Bao has shared something on Discord last night, and I think that, what was it, like a monitor stand worth 30 pounds, but the shipping was 700 pounds. I have no idea how that works. $350, so 50 more than the current Switch. Ah, I see, more expensive, but the screen is better, I guess. Might be good for those without a Switch yet. Going to the pool tomorrow to go swimming. Enjoy. Heat index gonna feel like 110. Yikes. What is that in Celsius? That seems hot, around 30 to 40. Mods list link in the video description. Yes, the checklist you can access through the mods list. That's true. You're having Assetto running on your main screen. Work on the second one and Clumsy on the third one. Awesome. Sounds like a good deal. Yeah. Oh, and yes, guys, I have my new equipment. You might have seen that in the photo. I finally got my honeycomb yoke. Check out the Discord for the photo on that, or in the YouTube channel, there's also the photo I shared. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. The look and feel of this yoke is something I could never have imagined. Coming from the CH Eclipse before, the feel of the CH Eclipse was like a toy, but it was good. It was working like a yoke, right? But this one really feels premium. And when you pull on something, when you use the yoke, pull or push the yoke, you really get that resistance. So good, so good. Even when you trim it, later on you'll hear me trimming like this clicking. Do you hear it there? Yeah, that one. You'll hear it a lot as I trim the plane. You can see that you're working, not playing. And yes, the added advantage is I have my keyboard right on top of the yoke. So there's like a platform on the yoke. I can put my keyboard there, so I have easy access to my keyboard now, and I can chat with you guys easier. I don't have to like reach over anymore. Very nice. Sphinx pyramids. We'll see, we'll see. I think you can find a lot of videos with that already though. 43.3, oh my goodness. Yeah. When the Microsoft Flight Simulator first came out, there were a lot of people who went on the like 7 Wonders of the World tour. And I can remember a lot of those involved the pyramids, the Sphinx, and whatnot. Fly-by-wire. Oh, the A320 right there. See that right beside us. Okay, let's go and check out the... Let's go and hang out here for now. Pretty stormy right now. Let's show you the flight plan. If I go to world map so it makes a bit more sense. Spending our time from Copenhagen, Kastrup over there. I'll be tracking some VORs along the way. Going old school navigation, no GPS, no AFE. AFE is the artificial flight engineer. That's the guy that helps us fiddle with the switches, so we'll not have him today either. So we are on our own. And we'll be crossing over to Germany, looks like, to... Is that Belgium? Yeah, I think a little bit of Netherlands as well. And then on to France here as we make our approach towards Paris. Charles de Gaulle. Yes, and of course this is an on-air flight, but the on-air flight is a bit weird. We actually have 2 cargos in here. One is going to France, one is going to Spain, to Barcelona. But I'm carrying them both with me because they're both coming from Copenhagen, so it's like a 2-leg trip. But for today, I guess we can only do one. because this will take like 3 hours already. I hope we won't need to do an increased sim rate, but if ever we did need to, that should not be a problem. Yeah. Right. Fly now. Yeah, the one to Barcelona definitely not, but the one to France should be okay. The one to Paris should be able to make that work. I hope. 1 sec, huh? Weight and balance. Okay, so we'll have to align the weight and balance of the plane. That's fine. I have my sim briefing here as well, just to make sure that we have the right amount of fuel. Something like that, right? So 10,634 pounds of fuel. Takeoff weight will be 89,000. Lots of different routes today, but I'll brief you as we go along, so it won't get too overwhelming in the beginning. Right? Let us load up the airport diagram. That's going to be us right there. So we are right on that spot. And later on, I'll turn off the navigation there, just so we know, we can simulate really that we don't have GPS. But for now, taxiing, I think I need some help. We'll be needing to push back, looks like. And then probably Victor 1 all the way to the runway 22 left is where we'll be taking off from. That looks like pretty straightforward. Let's hope I remember that till later. Okay, good. Is it real time? Hey Relic, welcome to the stream. Yes, indeed, it is real time. 1:1. 1:1. Okay, looking good. Nearly 2/3 of the fuel you load in the A320 for this flight. Hey Bunky, glad you made it, man. 2/3 of the fuel, and I'm using, well, the DC-6 also loads in avgas, not jet fuel, so it is a bit more expensive. So maybe it all balances out in the end. Let's get the tablet in here. I need to put in my weight and balance. Let me just have OnAir on my left side so I can get the fuel in. I think they did mention something around the lines of, that's close enough, but we'll try to align it as much as close as possible. 10,634. Let me zoom in a bit here. 10,646. 36, yeah, that's close enough. And then we need to load up, let me see, 26,235. So that's 23,000 right there, making it full, the main cargo hold. And this guy is 24,900, 26,223, 233. There you go. Okay, good. Looking good right there. Let's put this guy back in. All right, let's start tracking. That should change the time a bit, I think. That works. Okay, looking good. Looking good. It's tracking now, so we can start with all the stuff we have. All right. Oh, lots of buttons. Oh, what is that? Equipment on battery. First time I saw that. Goodness. All right, let's go through the list. Let's see if this streamlined checklist is effective enough. So let's go through it. Parking brake is set. First thing we need to do is check that the circuit breakers are all good, are in the up position. Now there will be some that will be expectedly in the down position, but in this case there will only be a few of them, so I'm just checking that all of them are up. Yeah, these guys will be down. 24 volt utility outlets and the water heaters are in the down position, but everything else should be up. And yes, these do reflect in the aircraft. If some of these are down, that respective circuit breaker is down, the respective system connected to it will not be working. So this is really an important part of the check. Alright, that looks good. So from here, we'll start our flow. In general, the flow will be from top to bottom, left to right, something like that. and then going through here all the way until we reach the pedestal over here. So we'll start off on this region, the upper overhead, the main overhead, the lower overhead, or I think we start with this left one, those center, right, then go through here in the PFD, the engine instruments, the pedestal. That's basically how the flow goes. Anyway, I'll show you and let me know if we can improve it. Okay, water injections, there the pumps are off. Emergency de-icing propeller is off. Circuit breakers you can also check here. That should be good. That looks good. Yes. And then moving down, that's done already. That side is done already. We turn on the battery and ground power. Double check that there's ground power. There is. So we can turn on ground power there. Turn the nav lights to steady. We can then turn on the no smoking and seatbelt signs. Right. Make sure that the fuel booster pumps are all off. And then we turn on the inverters. Turn on the generators. And the ignitions, make sure that they're all off. And that's done already. That's done on this side. Right? Moving on to the next. Make sure that the windshield heat is aligned. So check that versus the outside air temperature. It's almost 20 degrees Celsius outside. So no need for windshield heat at the moment. And then the heaters are in the normal system. System number 1. Just need to take this cabin heater system right here. Increases the fuel pressure right there. Nice. Moving on to this middle part, we then check the fluids, anti-icing fluid, oil. Oil is a bit lower, not full, but I think that's okay. Nothing critical. Should still be within the working range. Alright, and in terms of fuel here, we have, how many is that? 10,000 plus pounds. That looks okay. Everything is in the main tanks. That looks good. Let me scroll down here. Alright. And then we have... look here. Actually, you know what? I can turn that on and off so I can really look around, right? Okay. Landing lights are off and retracted. Cowl flaps, we're opening that full. Engine superchargers have to remain in the low position. The radios will take care of that later. I'll tell you why. And then let's move on to this cabin cabin setup for the pressurization. So we'll be cruising at flight level 120 today. So we'll go through here. Hey Deso, this is the DC-6. Yes, close enough. Yep. There you go. Thanks, Tom. Flight level 120. That's the guy. And that says, so this dial is saying at flight level 120 with the pressurization that this aircraft can handle, the cabin altitude will be at 2,000 feet. So we'll check that later in here. That will look very nicely. So even though we are flying at 12,000 feet inside the cabin, inside the aircraft, it will only feel like it's 2,000 because of all the pressurization systems, which is nice. So it's comfortable. So it's not hard to breathe and all that stuff. Right, looks good. Hey, thanks for the follow, Bench. Hope I read that right. Welcome to the stream. Yes, thank you. Let's see if I missed anything. Over on this side, yes, cabin temperature, I think 70 degrees Fahrenheit is the comfortable one. What would you guys say is the most comfortable temperatures for you? Because I don't speak Fahrenheit so much. But I think 70 degrees is around 20 plus degrees Celsius, right? You can see the cabin temperature heating up in there. You have your engine instruments on the AC voltmeter, bus on the DC voltmeter. We have the voltage 28 volts on the DC. 20 the AC as well, I think around 28 as well. Actually, the AC, DC, you know, electricity basics, that's something I still have to read. Inverters, so maybe if I have time later, if there's a long stretch of straight leg later, we can read up on it. Or if you know more about that, you can let me know. But these are the things that I love learning about. I'm missing a lot of things still, but it's all joining together, pieces of the puzzle. Alright, that looks good. So now we're moving here to the pilot instruments, the engine instruments. Make sure that all of these are pushed in. Let's set the altimeter. Altimeter at Copenhagen right now. Well, the QNH is 10. No, not that one. QNH 1010. Winds coming from the southwest. Okay, so we have the correct runway for departure. Runway 22 left. 1010. Alright, let's set that here. And if this is correctly set, yeah, there's 1010. If this is correctly set, the current altitude should match what is being said in the chart. So if we look at the chart again, this is saying airport elevation is 17 feet. So it should say here on our altimeter that we are almost at 0. Yeah, that's close enough. That looks good. So that is the correct QNH. Good. Moving back to the checklist, but letting me check the chat first. There you go, Bench. Very interesting. Probably not today, as I have all of these planned already, but maybe next time. And we'll need a proper 737 in the sim first, although that might be coming sooner than what we are thinking of. I think there are rumors around that PMDG, the developers of this DC-6, they're working on the 737, and some people are getting into the alpha testing of that plane already. So we might get the 737 in Microsoft Flight Simulator sooner than we anticipated. Keeping my fingers crossed. 70 degrees Fahrenheit is 21.1. Oh, sounds comfortable. I like that. All right. Great. Yes, 21 is actually the temperature I have set in our air conditioning as well. So that sounds good. All right, fuel tank selector. So we're moving now to the pedestal in here. Oh, let me initialize my rudders first. Okay, there you go. Main for all tanks. Crossfeed is off. Propeller full. This one, make sure that the prop selector is not manual. It can be number 2 or number 3. Let's keep it at number 3. Throttles can be a 10th to a 4th open. So let's push that forward just a tad, like so. And that the switches for the warnings are on. Yeah, these guys right here. Alright, move on to the next one over here. Gyro pilot is off. Mixture is in the idle cutoff. Autopilot servo is disengaged. Yes. Landing gear is down. We have 3 greens. That looks perfect. Trim tabs are set. Now that's maybe something I have to improve on, because right now you have to check this manually and this kind of wrecks the flow. We'll do that later. Yeah, maybe I have to rearrange where that is. Carb heat is cold. Flaps are up and indicating, because it says there flaps up. Okay, perfect. Now we check the trims. Aileron trim is at 0. That's perfect. That's in the middle. Elevator trim is right there at that 11 marker. That's for takeoff. And rudder trim is in the center as well. Good. Alright, I'll take that. And then we also have this hydraulic system. Make sure that's on. And then they turn on the auxiliary hydraulic pump, is that what you call it, and double check that we have this pressure climbing to up to 3050. So from 2500, let me see, 2600 to 3050 psi. That should do nicely. And then the emergency air brake pressure is at 1500 psi plus minus 50. Okay, that looks good in all aspects. Awesome. So we can close that, and once we close that, that automatically turns off, moves the switch, and this should go to 0 again. Looking good right there. And that's it. That's it. 19 is 67. I see. $19 yeah. Number 1 trending in YouTube, nice. Might have a look afterwards. Good. Alright, so with that, we can start our engine. And this one is a bit more familiar for those who've seen the stream before. And I'm using some of my new switches in the yoke right now to easily switch between views. We'll need that later. Sorry, it's a bit dizzying, but bear with me. So engine selector number 3. Turn on the boost pump for engine 3. Double check that the fuel pressure came up. That looks good. So now let's start the engine.
3.
The blade starts spinning.
6.
At 9 blades.
9.
Both.
12.
Boost prime. Hear it catching. Mixture. Auto lean. Auto rich. Looking good. Then we check the instruments. Fuel pressure, oil temperature, RPM. Looking good there. RPM shouldn't go beyond 1,000 for now. That's good. That will continue climbing up as the engine warms up. Oil temperature will also continue climbing up. I'm not sure if you can see that there. Oil temperatures will also continue climbing up. The goal is to have all the engines at above 40 degrees Celsius. That's the time that we know that it's safe to move around and go to higher revs, so that the oil can lubricate the engines properly. That's what I heard at least. Alright, looks good. So let's move on to engine 4. Rinse and repeat. Boost pump to low. Fuel pressure climbs up. Looks good. Start it up.
3. 6. 9. 12.
I think that was someone else, Tom. Hopefully. Hopefully it won't be us this stream. Auto rich. Oil pressure rising. That's the important bit. Oil temperature still cold but getting there. RPMs, yes, continuously climbing. You can see engine 3 here is already higher than engine 4 because it's been turned on earlier. Quite nice. Good. Alright, engine 2 this time. Fuel pressure climbs.
3. 6. 9.
There we go.
12.
I hear you. No, actually that didn't work. Dang it, you heard that? Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't catch. So then we'll have to skip out on it for now. Turn that off again. So we'll do that again later. We'll come back to that later. Turn that off for now. Let's move on to engine 1 first because the sequence is 3, 4, 2, 1. And sometimes the engine just won't start. They say that's the way it goes with radial engines. So when it doesn't work, move on to the next. Continue that 3, 4, 2, 1 sequence. And then go back to the engine that didn't start later. It's like in your multiple choice exam. When you don't know something, skip over it for now, return to it later. Something along those lines. Right, low boost pump. Fuel pressure is there. Start it up.
3.
Yes, exactly. Namaste.
6.
Welcome back, man.
9. 12.
That's the sound I like. It's the sound of an engine catching and starting up properly. There we go. There's oil pressure, oil temperature, RPM for engine 1. Looking good right there. Awesome. I love how the cabin just shakes very subtly. Good. Alright, so now we go back to engine 2. Let's hope that this time it works. Go that to low. Fuel pressure is there. Start it up.
3. 6. 9. 12.
That sounds better. There we go. Yes, there we go. Oil pressure is there. This is the most important bit. When you start the engine, check that the oil pressure rose. And then the oil temperature will follow later. That's fine. So you can see now, if you look at the oil temperatures, they're all different. Our sequence when we started it is 3, 4, 1, 2 in this case. So engine 3 is the hottest, engine 4 above 40, engine 1 still below, and then engine 2 way below. So that means we have to warm that up. We have to still warm that up. Let's have a look outside. Why is that spinning differently? Seems like engine 4 is slower, huh? In terms of the RPMs. Let's double check that. Any indication that it's slower? Not really. Maybe it will fix itself later. We'll see once we adjust here. That looks good. Let's keep it there. This plane is awesome. DJ Clumsy. I definitely agree. Namaste. Amazing work by PMDG. Okay, let's close the engine. Let's close the window rather. How are you, Jack? Yar! No worries, man. Secretly painting the walls in the kitchen to surprise the missus. Wow! How long does that take? Is she out for a while? That's pretty cool. Alright, so we have engine started. We do have other steps here after the engine start. So we can turn off the fuel pressure now. Make sure that the fuel pressure, the boost pump rather, make sure that the fuel pressure is still good on all engines though. That looks good. And then yes, so we check the fuel pressure. Engine selector, we turn that off. Then now we can switch to the plane battery because we now have our own power. The plane is generating its own power and we can have the GPU removed. The ground power unit, that small guy, believe it or not, that small guy right there was powering the entire plane a while ago. That's this guy, the GPU. So remove him, and now should be okay there. I don't think we need the tablet anymore for now. She's sleeping. Wow. Hey Chameleon. Welcome to the stream. Only 2 RPM. What do you mean? So right now we now have 1000 RPM for all engines, so that's a good sign. If you look outside, alright, there we go. It's spun up now. It's spun up. All of them are spinning at the same rate now. It's perfect. Good. Right, let's continue with the checklist. And if you guys want access to this checklist, exclamation point mods, and look for the stuff there. So if to get here, go to exclamation point mods. That will lead you through here to this page somewhat. Just go to the FS 2020 tab, look under Douglas DC-6, and there's that My Streamlined checklist. There's the link there. That leads you to this same page right here. Right, and then from there it's a Google Sheet file, so you can copy that to your own, edit it and whatnot. So up to you what you do with it, but you have to make a copy first so you can edit it on your own, right? And the reason why I didn't turn on the radios a while ago, so you can see here, after the engine start, while we're waiting for the engines to warm up, that's when we'll be tuning the radios so we can do stuff in parallel. Right, so we don't have to sit around. Although now it looks like the engine temperatures, the oil temperatures are all above 40, so we don't really need to wait anymore. But anyway, that's fine. If you were doing this fast, then you'll have to wait in there for quite a bit. And that's the perfect time to turn on the radios and tune them and set them up as necessary. Painted the ceiling during the day and plan to paint the walls tomorrow. Ah, nice. That will be good ammunition to prevent further sock throwing incidents in the future. What color are you painting it? Ah, yes indeed, Chameleon. There are 4 ones, but they are kind of overlapping. So you can kind of see it right there. That's 3, and for engine 3 it's kind of behind engine 4. For engine 1 it's kind of behind engine 2. It's the same with manifold pressure. So they're kind of saving up on space. Although when it comes to, also in fuel flow, they're combined. But when it comes to the BMEP, the overall representation of the power that the engine produces, they have one for each engine. Because I guess that's a very important factor, so they separate that. Sure thing, man, sure thing. Alright, let's continue tuning the radios. Radios we will need. At Castrop we are at 112.5. 112.5 over here. We'll tune that later. And the next one is 113.1, although I'm not sure if I can actually tune that because it's a Vortac. I'm not very familiar with it. 113.1, and I'm not sure if that's like military only, if this plane can even track that, but we'll see. We'll try it out, and if it doesn't work, then we will figure out what to do when it gets there. Look at the needles, guys. Even the needles are shaking. Love it. Alright, so that's tuned in. We can see that yes, it's VOR1 is alive, nav1 is alive. So if we turn this on, you can see that the Castrop VOR is 2.5 miles away from us. 2:40 a.m. you're watching me start a plane. Something wrong with you. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Have a good day, Geek Squad. Catch you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Starting to learn the A320 fully. Can't imagine the amount of research that goes into flying this beast. So many buttons to press. I know, right? When I saw the cockpit for the first time, I kind of ran for the hills because this is the first image I saw of this plane. Something along these lines. Yeah, and when you see a plane with that many dials, the first instinct is to run away from it. So I ran away, but then I came back after a while and then I started studying it. And it's not as bad as it looks, apparently, if you take it one bite at a time. Alright, let me see. So, let's have a look here. Let me show you a little nav map. So this is the plan. This is the Castrop airport where we're at currently. Let's turn off the aircraft position so we don't know where we are. We have to rely on the radios. So we'll be departing from runway 22 left, so that's this guy, departing to the southwest here. And then we'll be flying directly over the Castrop VOR, right? So that looks good. And from there, we'll be going on a 214 track. You can see here 214 magnetic heading. 214 degrees M for magnetic for 142 miles. So I'll be tracking 214. We'll be tracking the 214 radial for the VOR all the way to Hamburg. Let's hope that works as intended. Alright, so 214. So let's zoom in here and put in 214, of course. Hey, Swappy! It's been a while, man. How's it going? What have you been busy with these days? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 214 degrees. Oh, perfect. We're almost right on the radial for it. Awesome. Good morning. Excited for, what was that? Inibuild's A310. Is that coming soon for X-Plane? Active runways for an airport. In Microsoft Flight Simulator? It would depend on the ATC. So it would depend if you're using VATSIM or if you're using any ATC. But normally it depends on the wind. In a big airport, there would always be an ATIS which you can tune into, and then it would say which runway is used for departure, for arrivals, for that matter. Right, so DME, that's on. Let's also turn on. What was that sound? 1 second. Oh, wipers. That's pretty cool. Accidentally clicked it. I like that. Squishy wipers. Turn that on. You know what? Well, we don't have any ATC right now, so let's just stay there. Let's just invent some random number. Course is set, transponder on and set. Looking good. Alright. So, do I remember how to taxi? I remember we have to go that way. That's the runway. So I guess we can go straight, right? Go straight, turn right, join the runway there. That looks good. Pretty straightforward taxi. Got the trailer yesterday. Probably within this month. Nice. I am not familiar what the A310 looks like. Is it like an A320 interior? Just a different body? Or is it a completely different cockpit? I don't think I've seen that one before. Alright, let's release the parking brake here. Cowl flaps, let's double check that they are open. Yes, they're fully open so that the engines can breathe. You can hear the engines spooling up. Let's go. CHT monitor. Yes, cylinder heads. Make sure that doesn't go above the yellow line there. Interior is kind of bowing. Ah, there is a yoke. I see. Very interesting. This is very different from the one they got from Bombardier, is it? Like, I think that's a completely different model. Maybe I should stay to the taxiways, huh? But that's okay. Bit of shortcut in here. Stay out of the harmonics so that the engine doesn't shake, doesn't hate me for it. Alright, let's see. Flap, set that to 20. Let us remove the gust lock. The gust lock is this guy. So that we can control. There we go. And now with the new yoke, I can actually feel the resistance. Feels like a heavy plane, really. Very nice. Right, here we are. That was quick. This is 2-2 left already. Good. Fuel boost pumps. Now there are certain conditions when you turn on the fuel boost pump. I haven't really read on that yet, so we'll just turn it on for now to be on the safe side. Let's see. Yeah, just to be sure, just to be extra sure. Let's turn those to low. I think that depends on certain conditions like the outside air temperature and other factors. Mixture is, yes, the mixtures are in auto rich already. Nav lights as we're entering the runway. Set those to flashing. That's the closest thing we have to strobes. That actually just means that the nav lights, the green and red lights, they're flashing now instead of being steady. Right there. Yeah, that's the closest thing we have to strobes. Good. And then transponder, set that to altitude. Okay. Cowl flaps, landing lights, let's go ahead and extend that. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. So I count 5 seconds because that takes around 5 seconds to extend. And then we can turn on the landing lights. And those outside should look like that. Those ones. Yeah. Good. The yoke is amazing. I never imagined it to be this good. It's so good, the feeling. Flying a small plane, a large plane, any plane with a yoke feels so immersive now. Doesn't feel like a toy when I'm moving it. Good, alright. So let's line up on the runway. Let's enter it. It's going to be a wet takeoff today. So our weight is 89,000 pounds, our takeoff weight. And above 87,600, we should be using the wet takeoff. That means having water and alcohol injected into the engine somehow to help cool it down, to help manage and use more of its power. Hey Gary, I got the Honeycomb Alpha. People have been raving about it ever since. And but yeah, I didn't realize how good it was. Squeaky brakes for the win. Just line up on the runway here. All the buttons are set up for the trains now. Buttons for Stream Deck. Oh my goodness. I can imagine. I saw the photos. There we are. Line up on the runway. Alright. Let's go ahead and cowl flap, set that to 4 degrees. Although let me move it a bit wider, just maybe on this side. What this will do is it will, so the cowl flaps are these guys. These guys, where my mouse is, near the engine. It allows the engines to breathe. If you open them, then that's more ventilation, right? But because if they're flaring out like that, that means that it's not optimal for aerodynamics. So I can imagine there is a performance impact for that. You kind of slow down, increase the drag when you extend them, when you open them. So it's a bit of a tight balance, keeping your engines cold enough and at the same time not inducing too much drag. So it's a delicate balance, so you kind of fiddle with that all throughout the flight depending on the phase. Alright, looking good. Turn on the pitot heat. Pitot heat is this guy. And turn on the auto feathering as well. Just in case we fail one engine, make sure that that is set. And it would feather automatically the engine that fails so that it wouldn't drag us around. Okay. Water injections have to go on. Alright, let's do this. Set up for the trains. Thanks, Gary. Hey, Manuel. Welcome back, man. How are you? Alright. 30 inches manifold pressure. That's 30 inches right there. Hear the engine roar. CHT's looking good. Alright, let's do this. Pushing. Manifold pressure to 59.5 for a wet takeoff. Green lights should start. There you go. That's it. Awesome. There it is. CHTs are getting hot. Get some airflow in there. Hopefully that doesn't get too hot. Don't give out on me, engines. Don't give out on me. Looking good. Alright, breathe, breathe, breathe. 100 knots. Rotate very gradually, like so. Positive rate. Gear going up. Just fly over the VOR. 130 knots. Flaps going up. Let's go to METO power in here. Do not put excessive pressure on the engine. 48 inches of manifold pressure. Lowering the RPM to 2600. You can hear the engine slowly winding down the RPM. Love that sound. Beautiful. 165 knots. Go to 40 inches. Manifold pressure. And 2400 on the RPM. That's for climb. That's the middle marker that we were hearing, no problem there. And let's start moving here towards the 214 radial. So basically keeping that thing in the middle. Let's look outside for a bit. Why not? There it is, guys. There it is. Beautiful. Got That's the outer marker for the ILS. It's fine. AFK for more painting. Enjoy, Jack. Hey, adventure. The Alpha is amazing, man. Yes, I'm hand flying it right now because I really want to experience it more. It is amazing. Okay, CHTs are looking good now. That's okay. Not too hot. Let's give them some more breathing room in here. That's the one. Alright, 165 knots. Right on that radial, right in the center here. Continue with that climb. But let's trim up a little because I think we can afford to climb steeper here. Pitch for 165 knots. Alright. And then I'll have to enable autopilot here, gyro pilot. And the autopilot servo. There you go. Because we have a couple more checks to do after takeoff checks. For now though, 1 second. I'm just pitching down the gyro pilot because the speeds have gone below 160. Should be 165. So let's pitch down just a bit. Beautiful outside. I love that hum of the engine. That's meditative. That sounds good. Alright, looking good. Looking good right there. Okay, okay. So let's go through the checklist. Take off and climb. We have climb power set. Checking the CHTs. Yes, they are in around the 200 mark. That's perfect actually. And we have to continue pushing forward on the throttles. You can see the manifold pressure here has gone below 40. So we're pushing forward that to 40. As we climb, that goes lower and lower, right? So we have to continue pushing that forward bit by bit as we climb. That's fine. Engines are breathing properly. All temperatures a bit hot, but that's okay. We are climbing. Fuel pressure, oil pressure, all good there. Alright. So let's go through the list again and I'll get back to you guys in a bit. Cowl flaps, make sure that's in the climb position. Yes, it is. I think the auto feathering we can also turn off. Looking good there. Landing lights, we can turn that off. Retract it. Give it 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, turn that off. Fuel booster pumps can go off. Seatbelt signs. Why are my beacons off? No one saw that. Seatbelts are off. And windshield heat we can adjust as necessary. So windshield heat, it's currently 10 degrees outside. And it says here, when it's 10 to 0 degrees, move it to this second position. 10 to 0 it says there. So we're following that. Make sure our windshield doesn't smoke out, ice out. Oh, I love those clouds. Good morning. How do you assign the button on the Alpha on the DC-6? Which one? Which button are you looking for? The water metal keep on during flight? No, that's a good point, Chameleon. That's part of the... I should add that to the list. Because I usually do dry takeoff, so I don't have the water injections, but that's a good point. Should turn that off after the takeoff. It will turn off by itself anyway. After a while, after you've gone below, it automatically turns on when you see these green lights. After you reach a certain manifold pressure, I think around, I don't know, 40 plus manifold pressure. And once you go below that, they automatically turn off. But yes, we'd want them to be off on the switches above to make sure. Switch to localizer here so that the plane will follow on its own the radial that we set, 214. Looking good. So what else did I miss? So windshield heat is good. Double check that the cabin altitude So you can see here, guys, the cabin altitude. So what is happening here? So we can see that the cabin differential pressure is rising. Right, we are now at 3 point, how do you read that? Pounds per square inch. So PSI, 3.5 PSI, and you can see the needle constantly climbing up, right? Once it reaches around 4.5 PSI, that's around the maximum that this plane will handle. That's like the difference, the pressure difference of the outside versus inside. So once it reaches around 4.5, we should see the cabin altitude here start to also rise all the way until 2000. So let's observe that as we go. Right? I actually didn't check the transition altitude here, so let's move to 1013 standard QNH. 1013 should be somewhere there, I believe. Here. It's close enough. We're climbing to flight level 120. Pitch down a bit so that we keep that 165 knots. Didn't just put the booster pumps to high. That is low. Yes, that is low. High is this one. Yeah. Hopefully that didn't hurt the engine. Let's double check. Yeah, all good. I think. Alright, CHTs, all good. Thank you for following, Chameleon. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel again. Alright, let's double check. Blowers as required. So we won't need to switch our blowers this time, but you can see what I always miss. I still have yet to form this habit. We're down to 35 inches. That will degrade our climb performance. So have to push the throttles to 40 inches. Like so. Yeah, 40 inches? Yes, perfect. Whew, looking good. Alright. And now we actually also are able to track. You can see both needles are working. VOR1, the thinner one, is facing to our south, to our 6 o'clock. That's because we passed it already, right? So we're tracking the outbound radial for it. But now this thicker one for VOR2 is facing forward. That's the Hamburg VOR that we are also tracking. And that's in the nav2 position. That's this guy, 113.1. And it's alive. So if we look at this guy, if we go to nav2, so the Castrop VOR, the one we just passed behind us, is 22 miles and increasing as we go farther from it. And then the one we're going to, the Hamburg VOR, is in N2 here. It's 118 miles and getting closer as we go. That's pretty cool. Alright, we can switch later. We can switch in a while. Let's just double check that we are not anywhere. Okay, we are getting a bit fast here. We can climb a bit steeper. And make sure that I have 40 inches on the manifold pressure. Push forward that again. By the way, guys, because I got a new yoke, I also got a new throttle quadrant. I bought the Logitech throttle quadrant. It's nothing fancy, but it has three axes. So I actually have one axis for one lever for engine 1 and 2, one lever for engine 3 and 4. So I have individual control on them now. It feels much better when taking off, when adjusting like this. Quite nice, I like it. Pitch up a bit, 165 knots is okay. How's our outside air temperature? Getting to 0 degrees here. So might be time to increase the windshield heat. From 0 to negative 40 is that notch right there. Looking good. Ooh, look at that. Let's get outside, guys. Let's enjoy the view for a bit. Might get a bit noisy though. Oh, look at this angle. It's going to be amazing. That is so scenic. My goodness. Beautiful. Alright, 10,000 to go. Flight level 120 is our cruising altitude. Do we have clouds up ahead? It doesn't seem like it, but as necessary, we do have anti-icing for this plane, so we can handle having a few clouds here and there. Double check our engine instruments. That's actually pretty cold, huh? Look at how much that's fallen already. That was fast. Let's go back to 40 inches here. And right now, if I look at my physical throttles, I'm now at 75% power of my throttles. Oh, there we are, almost getting there. So let's shallow out that climb. There's flight level 120. So I'm shallowing it out very, very slowly, very subtly, so that the passengers don't even feel like we are leveling off, and they can continue their meals in peace. There's flight level 120 exactly, although I'm not sure if there's still a bug with it. Let's turn on altitude control here. Yeah, look at that. There's still a bug, I think. Let's see. It might actually put me at a bit of a different level in there. Yeah, I think there's still a bug. It's how do I explain? It's detecting a different QNH. It's detecting the not the standard QNH, but the local QNH for this one. So if I press the B key, it will be exactly at 12,000. Look at this. If I press B, actually no. Oh, maybe they changed it. Maybe they did change it. One second, let's try. Okay, how about that? 1013. Let's see what it will do. They changed it, because before, when you press the B key, that's always the one that they're matching to. Now it seems like it is respecting it a bit different. A tad. Anyway, let's move as we increase our airspeed here to our cruising speed, around 210 indicated, to 20. Let's pull back on the throttles to 36 psi. Right. The RPM to 2250. You can hear the humming changing again. That's around that point. And we now go to auto lean. That will cause the BMEPs to lower. There you go. But that should increase later on as well. Should pick up back up in a bit. We will observe that. And because we're cruising now, we can actually close the cowl flaps to lessen the drag. Let's just double check that our engines aren't heating up. Yeah, they're too cold now. They're getting too cold. So closing the cowl flaps was a good idea. Actually, yeah, that's why it's low, because I put it the wrong way. 36 is actually over here. That's more like it, because the target is around 155 BMEP. That's the power cruise, and the fuel flow should be around 600 plus pounds per hour per engine. Looks good right there. Alright. Let's go through the checklist. Yeah, mixture auto lean, cruise power, yes, 36 manifold pressure, 2250 BMEP 155, cowl flap 0, hydraulic systems. Oh yes. Now we can turn off the hydraulic systems. That means even if I move the flaps, even if I move this lever, nothing should happen. You can see the flaps staying up because the hydraulics are off. Some kind of safety in place to prevent accidental moving of the levers and also to reduce the wear on the hydraulic systems. You can turn them off while on cruise. Good. Right, let's double check this one. 44 miles. We're still tracking the first VOR. Might be time to switch now. Yeah, might be a good time since we are the workload is light. So let's go to gyropilot in here. Let's switch the nav 113.1. You can see the needles changing. Now we can adjust to that. Should we? Yeah, let's go and chase it a bit. Should just be a very minor correction in there. Bank a little to the left. And we should eventually pass over it. Center it up. That should be okay. How's the payload for this and OnAir? Yes, up to 28,000 pounds. I'm using the cargo variant, DC-6A. So if we go outside, pardon the noise. You see there are fewer windows outside. This is the cargo variant that I'm flying. And this is perfect for OnAir. 28,000 pounds, give or take. That's like 2 loads for the CRJ you can take. And yes, I'm actually doing an OnAir job right now. So it is active. Yeah, 52 minutes. Tracking 52 minutes. We're carrying 26,000 pounds towards 2 destinations. We'll see. Also, we can actually let the autopilot take care of that for us. So we set the radial, we can just switch to localizer here, and the plane will turn for us and look for that course, 214 course towards the Hamburg VOR. Let's go for some sightseeing below, why not? So where are we right now? We've crossed over already. We can imagine where we are. We can try and look where we are. Beautiful. You hear the wind a bit. Yes, the honeycomb yoke has built-in resistance. You cannot modify it, as far as I know. But it's pretty good. The resistance is there, and it doesn't feel like a toy at all. Because my old yoke was shaped like a yoke, but everything was plastic, and when you move it, it felt like a toy. So it kind of ruins immersion a bit. But the Honeycomb Alpha really feels like, well, I have never been on a plane in real life, and I've been on the controls of a yoke, but looks as close as possible. I can imagine. Looking good there, and now the plane is turning towards that course as well. Okay, that looks awesome. Let's have a look at Little Nav Map here. So Little Nav Map, so we departed from Copenhagen. We are on this leg right now, somewhere here, but how do we know exactly where? Well, we have DME, right? Hey Nerdbark, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Hope you are enjoying the flight. CHTs are looking good. Everything is looking good. We have to pay attention though to the RPM, the manifold pressure. If suddenly something changes without us fiddling with anything, that means we might have some carb icing. It shouldn't happen during climb, but I think in some instances, or during cruise, but in some instances it does. Anyway, going back to this topic, we are 82 miles away from the Hamburg VOR. How do we draw that? So we go to Hamburg here, Little Nav Map here. There's Hamburg. What we can actually do with Little Nav Map, such a powerful tool, is do a right click here. 1 second. Where's the VOR? Over there, okay. We right click on the VOR. We say measure distance from Vortak, Hamburg, right? And now we have a ruler. So if we go and check out 82 miles from here, 82 miles is right there. So we should be right somewhere on this island. Okay? So that's a great indication. We're now 80 miles away from it. And if you look outside, that's the island we're seeing right here. So even though we don't have GPS because of these radio signals, we have a way of determining where we are in the world. And it's amazing. Yeah, the ruler function for Little Nav Map is such an invaluable tool when it comes to that. So 80 miles is from here. Just so we get an accurate representation of where we are, 80 miles is right on that spot. Yes. Where is this anyway? This is still Denmark, I believe. Yeah, but we're crossing over to Germany soon. I think this is actually ETS2, some of these places, right? It's quite cool. Right, let's get that ready. 113.1 is Hamburg. The next one is 112.05 Flora. 05. Tune that in, and on the main one we keep that on standby. Looking good there. Alright. Let's go and check these against the performance numbers. So what I've set up here is at 1240 brake horsepower. So this is like the power mode basically. This is not economy mode. So this is the highest horsepower setting. So it might be the one that eats up the most fuel. But this should take us there the fastest as well. And fuel shouldn't be a big deal in this case. So why not go fast? So let's go and read the manual. We have flight operation data in here. Set that to 1 page. And if you look at this guy, alright. So where are we at? Is it possible to draw through here? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's possible to draw something. Might be a different thing, huh? Oh, highlight text. You can highlight the text. That work? So if we use... No, that won't work. Can we draw it? Oh, that's signing. Okay, anyway. So if we look at 12 here, 12,000. Right? No, that's this is for... You can see that's for 1000 torque meter horsepower. What we're looking for is 1240. That's the highest setting, 1240. So if we look at 12,000 feet, our RPM should be at 2260. Our BMEP should be at 155. That's what we've set up here. And depending on our weight, our gross weight, we were at 89,000 a while ago. So we should be around this column. Our indicated airspeed should be around 211 knots, which would equate to 258 true airspeed. So let's have a look here. That is 200 indicated. That is 210, 220. Wait a minute, how do you read that? 200, that's that 210. This is 220, 230, 240. Yes. So yes, exactly. 210, around 212 we are at. And it says here 211. Yeah, so that's pretty close. That equates to a true airspeed of 258. If you look over here, oh crap, we only have a 214 ground speed. That means we probably have a lot of headwind against us. Because if we are supposedly traveling at a true airspeed of 258, but in reality, if we're only traveling over the ground at 214, so that must mean we have around, I don't know, 44 knots of ground speed against us? Something like that is how it appears. So, not the best time for flying towards this direction, but we'll still get there, just at a very slow pace. That's okay. And in terms of fuel flow should be around this way. 623 over here. 623 pounds per hour. So let's have a look. That is 600. That's more around 650 to 700 though, so a bit on the higher side. Yeah, a bit on the higher side there, but I guess that it's not 1:1, but close enough. All that close enough. PMET 155 on all engines. Looking good right there. Awesome. Alright. Now it starts getting lighter, finally. The workload is intense, but every bit of the flight is just so involved. I love it. Any negative wear on the engines since ditching Doug the engineer? That's a very good question, Johnny. What? I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a while. Let's do that. So if you open the tablet again, you should have some visualizations. Maybe that comes into the factor, higher fuel flow because of the engine wear, but not so sure. A clear indication would be to go through the engine stress visualizer. They have everything in a green, although the oil temperatures are still hot. They should have normalized by now. Well, they are not really that hot. They're not really on the yellow side. They're still in the green range. But maybe because we are on a 1240 brake horsepower setting, higher cruise setting. So this is the fastest setting on cruise, we could say. Then I guess they are working harder. But that's fine. That's within the limits, right? If we go for maintenance manager, then we'll see the engine hours. So this particular aircraft, this livery in particular, because when you change liveries, this will reset. So we have 11 hours. They're all green though. Yeah. So I don't think there is any actual wear yet. That means we're doing a decent job at not stressing them out too much. So I think we're good in that department. Oh, and yes, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this. Yes, the AFE now has a different outlook. So if you're still using Doug, our AFE, that's no problem. That will actually lighten your workload. But now the layout here is much easier to read. So it's quite... it's hard to misclick anymore. Before they were just on the single column and they were so close to each other. Now they are well spaced apart. Also, first time I've seen this, if you go to options, they actually now have a sim rate. So right now we're at one time, so it's 1:1. So they actually have it built in that they know that you'll be doing long haul flights with this DC-6 and people can increase the sim rate and you can see your actual sim rate. That's the first plane I've seen that does that, has the sim rate in there. So we can actually check that, we can actually do that and see how it looks. You know, for science, let's test it. So I have the sim rate buttons mapped to my keyboard. Let's check that out. So if let's look at the clock here. Before, this is just what I used, because you have the second hand there, so you can see if the second travels really like a second or faster. So if I hit the increase sim rate twice, 1, 2, you can see the second hand goes fast, way faster. But now you also have a clear indication that current rate is 4x, and you can reset it to 1:1 with a single click like so. And now it should go, the second hand should also travel normally again. Very convenient. Sim rate mess with OnAir? No, it's supported. It's the only downside is when you finish your flight, it will say that you accelerated your time, so you don't have the results yet, and you cannot take any flights until that sim rate. How do you say? So let's say you take a flight. Supposedly you arrive there by 10 a.m. But because of the sim rate, in real life you arrived 9:30. Right? So 30 minutes ahead. So OnAir will say you accelerated the time, so you cannot fly until 10 a.m. because it's still running in the background, and you won't get the salary, you won't get the job finished until 10 a.m. But in reality, you're done with the flight, you're just waiting for it in the background. So all works well and good. Yeah, thankfully. So we can have those long haul flights and not have to sit around the PC 16 hours in reality. Very convenient for guys like us. I'm too impatient for the actual long haul flights. So what we can do is accelerate time again. Let's double check that that's happening in here. 4x, and yes, the autopilot seems to be doing a good job of it. I found that 4x is the most comfortable that we can stay at without the autopilot going crazy. I'm not sure if that's the same with DC-6, but in all the other planes, 4x is the absolute maximum that is stable for me. So I usually just stick to this one. Flying all your flights in full. To be fair though, Johnny, there is a certain, I don't know if it's just me, but for me personally, there's a certain satisfaction when you can fly the plane in real time, the entire flight. So as much as I can, that's what I do. It's just something more natural with it. But in terms of being practical, if you don't have enough time and you still want to travel that far, then the sim rig is our friend. But yes, thankfully we have an option. It's not an all or nothing kind of situation. Cool. Looking good, looking good. Do a check on our temps. 36 inches, 155 PS BMEP, more or less. Cylinder heads are around 200 degrees, that's okay. Looking good. All temperatures there a bit on the warmer side. But that's fine, they're working hard. Engine 3 fuel flow is a bit high, 700. Maybe we can tone that down a bit. Just a tad here. Something like that. Didn't really change much. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, 1 second. Let me slow down here. So we're 9 miles away from the VOR. And looking at little nav map here. So that's Hamburg right there, over here. And we should be, the next one should be in a 228 magnetic heading. Is that aligned with what SimBrief is saying? Let's see. So if you look at our SimBrief flight plan, our flight log, if you look at Hamburg, it says 226 actually. 226 towards the next VOR. Which one do we follow? I'm not sure. But yes, a few degrees off, should it be that big a deal? Let's try following little SimBrief. Let's see if that's more accurate. Because when I follow little nav map, I always have to do these adjustments. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate. So let's put 226 in here and see how that works. So let's go to gyro pilot mode. Let's go to 226 here. So 220. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 226. Right? So let's wait for that when we get close enough, around 1.6 miles. Actually, even less, maybe 1 mile. We'll start turning to the right. So that's satisfying when your wheels touch down. I know, right? Yes, that feeling. Exactly. Yes, what I wanted to do today is a bit of a mix actually. So we're starting off with a DC-6 flight, but I also, if we have time, and we might have time if we increase the sim rate, we might be able to go on the Arrow. Because I've been enjoying some GA flights recently because of this yoke, just hand flying goodness. It's an amazing feeling. And I've been doing the UK tour part 2 in Sky Park. It's a nice way to go around the world and enjoy the sceneries. Man, look at that view. There's Hamburg right below us. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. That reset already. Let's go start turning. 226 if I remember correctly. There it is. That needle should get closer to us. Let's go through here. Let's see if that works. You know what? An easy fix as well is just hit localizer here so that the plane will take care of following the radial we set. That's all. And while that's happening, let's go look around, look below. Enjoy the view of Hamburg. Oh, beautiful! Oh my goodness, that's so detailed. Even at 12,000 feet above. Looks so good. Is that a train station? There's the airport. One of the airports, I'm not sure which one that is. That is the Hamburg airport. Ah, interesting. So the VOR is a bit over on this side, but the airport is way back here. Cool. There's another one there, a smaller one. And yeah, just taking our time like this, it's an amazing feeling. We're on track IR here. So good. So nice. Sorry guys, it's stuttering a bit because the airport is loading in. Give it some time. Hopefully by July 27 when the major patch for Microsoft Flight Simulator comes out, those stutters are gone, but right now it's something we have to contend with. Ooh, interesting. That looks beautiful. What river is that? Let's have a look here. Little nav map. So that's Hamburg. This is the river. That's the Elbe? Elbe? I think so. That looks like it's also a boundary of the different states here. Schleswig, Holstein, and Lower Saxony. That rings a bell to anyone. Not to me, but I sure like the view. I sure like this view. Beautiful. Love those winding roads coupled with the winding rivers. Just seeing everything from above like this. It looks like our altitude is perfect. The clouds are staying above us, at least for now. So we can actually enjoy the view below without any hindrances. No obstruction. Looks good. So now we see that the VOR needle is pointing to the back there because we passed it already. So we're tracking the outbound radial, the tail. 216. No, 226. Yes, 226 radial. And we're getting farther and farther away from it. VOR2, still not tracking anything. It says in 90 degrees, and if I go to N2 here, it's still going to be -0, it says. That's fine. As we get closer to that VOR, we should be able to... That should come alive later. Okay, all good. Let's have a look at our fuel here. 2,000 pounds on each of the tanks. That's 8,000 pounds in total. That looks good. We can actually compare that with SimReef. Let's see. So if we go to Hamburg here, by the time we arrive at Hamburg, it says estimated fuel on board is 8.1. That's actually spot on. Yeah, It says predicted burn is 2.5, 2,500 pounds, and estimated fuel on board is 8.1, 8,100 pounds. That's actually pretty close. Yeah, 2,000 on each side. Let's open the tablet so we can get some accurate numbers in there. But looks like we are in the ballpark. Hey, Zubarg! Good morning. Doing good, man. Doing good. Thank you. Enjoying this flight. How are you? Making our way from Copenhagen to Paris. So fuel load manager 7.9. Yeah, that's close because we passed the VOR already. So looks like that is pretty accurate. That is pretty accurate right here. Not that one. Right here. Yeah. Hamburg 8.1. So by the time we arrive at Flora, we should have 5.6, 5,600 pounds, and by the time we land at Charles de Gaulle, we should have 4,300 left, more or less. And this is with the because this in SimBrief, if you look at the filing of this, the DC-6 actually has different cruise profiles. And you remember this one, the brake horsepower, the one in the chart? Remember I picked the 1240 one to travel the fastest? So that 1240 aligns perfectly with this one. And if you pick this cruise profile, you'll end up consuming more fuel because you'll be traveling faster. And the engines will be stretched more. But we have that aligned, so it looks good in that regard. So the flight plan that we created is pretty accurate to what we have. It's nice. Gives me confidence that this 226 would work. Now there is a difference. There is a indicated magnetic track and a true track, I think. Is that indicated? But yeah, there's a magnetic and there's a true. And those have a difference depending on where you are in the world. In this case, it's 3 degrees. But I'm following the magnetic one. I hope that's right. I hope that's right. We'll see. Doing good. That's great to hear, man. What have you been busy with these days? Let's go for some sightseeing. Let's go and check out some cameras. Mind the sounds, guys. We'll get a bit loud. How about that view? That is so relaxing. Oh, this one. It even changes the sound. This one is coming from the right now. Yeah, they did. This was actually a lot cheaper than anticipated. A lot cheaper than their E3D and FSX counterparts, I believe. Because this one released at if I remember correctly, 54 USD. Something along those lines. And I think their E3D counterparts in the other sims, the DC-6 released for a much more expensive one, like 60 maybe? Or even higher. And yes, the quality is definitely there. Now, as I mentioned a while ago, for those who just joined, there are rumors. I love those reflections. And you see the reflections on the windshield reflecting off those nuts. That is amazing detail, isn't it? There is a rumor, and don't quote me on this, but there is a rumor that how did it start? So there are very famous streamers. I think there are 2 of them. One of them is Chewy, the other one I'm not sure who. Maybe it's Fabio. I'm not sure who. But yeah, they tweeted, I think, and they mentioned something that they're undergoing alpha testing with what were the exact words? Something along the lines of a study level aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator, that they are involved in the alpha testing of it. And there have been discussions in the forums, in the flight simulator forums for it. And the general rumor is that this is the PMDG 737 that they have undergone, that they are starting to alpha test. And if it's in alpha testing already, I'm not sure how long it takes before it gets to our hands, but that is a great sign. I was not expecting the 737 to be coming anytime soon. So that is a great thing to hear. Yeah. And PMDG, actually I'm a new customer. This is my first product from PMDG, because I started off in X-Plane where PMDG doesn't have a big presence. So I have very good impression on them. I have very good experience with them. I've been hanging out in their forums a lot, and I've been learning a lot of things. And I like the way they communicate. When they have a miss, they are very transparent about it. When they learn about something, they share it with the community. When they have watch-outs, they share it. So they're very transparent, and they have very expensive products, but I think it's worth every bit of it. So I am a happy customer, for sure. Outside air temperature, -5 degrees Celsius. No problem. No moisture here, so no risk of icing. But we'll keep our eyes on the instruments in case something weird happens. Yeah, the 737, I really missed that plane. I first flew that in X-Plane with Zibo's version. Zibo 737 is very famous because it's free and it's definitely study level. One of the best out there, arguably matching or even beating the PMDG 737 version. You know, it's like 50-50, I would say. Some people like Zibo better, some people like PMDG better, but all in all, they're both amazing quality. But I miss that. I miss flying that plane. One of the most famous planes out there, 737NG. I guess it's the 737-800 that they'll be developing. The reflection of the bolts is just the texture. Actually, I'm not sure, because in Microsoft Flight Simulator we do have, yeah, you can see the reflections are real in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Like if you go to other planes, if you have ultra settings on the reflections, if you go check out other planes there which have glass cockpits, the glass cockpits are reflected on the windows. So in this case, having the nuts and bolts reflected, you can see over there, you can actually see there the turn indicator reflected on the mirror. So yes, that is the real thing. And it depends on the lighting as well. Depends if the sun is hitting against you or not. So the graphics in Microsoft Flight Simulator is second to none for sure. The lighting, the reflections, the realism, and we will be getting a huge performance update on July 27. So that's going to be even more exciting. Yeah, it's amazing. Things are taking shape. I know there are still a lot of haters, a lot of naysayers for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that's founded. There are some bases for that, but I think it's headed the right place. They have not been sitting still. They have been continuing to just evolve throughout these months. We're getting close to our first year in Microsoft Flight Simulator now since it released. It released sometime in August, if I remember correctly. And yeah, the sim has gone quite far since then. Still has a long way to go, that's true, but yeah, it's definitely headed the right way. Yeah. Still have a lot of bugs when it comes to autopilots and navigation systems. So we hope that that's something that's still in the works for getting ironed out. So while we have some time here, I wanted to read up on the manual. Let's make this a manual reading simulator. So I wanted to learn more about it. So let's go and read contents. I wanted to learn about the inverters because there has been a bit of discussion about the inverters. Is anyone here familiar what an inverter is? And this is not a trick question, I really don't know. This is a real question. So 1 second. Let's go and rotate that back in. So let's see. Electrical system, maybe. That one. 24 to 28 volt electrical system. Yeah, you know, I'm so not familiar with this. I'm not even aware what the difference is between the DC power and AC power. You know, so let's read up on it. So let me read it to you guys. The DC-6 basic 24 to 28 volt electrical system is a single wire type in which the airplane structure is used for the ground return, except in the vicinity of the magnetic compass, where a two-wire system is used to prevent magnetic interference. DC power is delivered to a main electrical bus system by 4 engine-driven generators. So how that sounds to me is the power that these engines are creating, that is DC power. Okay, wired in parallel and by two 12-volt batteries connected in series. An external receptacle permits the introduction of power from a ground source into the main bus when the engines are inoperative. Okay, so that's the ground power unit. Okay, each generator is connected to the main electrical bus system by individual cables through protective devices. AC power is supplied by two rotary type inverters. That's the one. Okay, either of which is capable of supplying the entire 115 volt 400 cycle AC load for instrument and electronic equipment operation. An emergency inverter is installed in some airplanes to supply AC power to the flight instruments only in the event of failure of the two main inverters. A fourth inverter, a vibrato-type razor inverter, supplies 110 volt 60 cycle current to the lounge outlets, which are so designed that the inverter is automatically turned on whenever cord is plugged in. What I got from that, okay, hey nerd, thank you for the info. Inverters take DC, direct current, and changes it to AC, alternating current, and that goes perfectly hand in hand with the description here. Thank you for that. So DC is what gets generated by the generators, by the engine generators, right? DC power, and it goes through the inverter. Inverter changes that to AC power, and that is the one which is what? The AC power is eventually what powers the plane. Is that how it is? Schematically shown in figure 43. Power output from the 4 generators is delivered to a main distribution line or main bus located in the main junction box installed in the flight compartment ceiling. Aft of the flight compartment door, okay. The main bus, in turn, delivers power to 5 secondary buses, which deliver power to the various operating units and system. So in the main bus is where that inverter happens, that DC to AC thing. Let's read more on it. Each bus, with the exception of the emergency circuit bus, is protected individually by Burndy current limiters. In most cases, all circuit protectors, fuses, current limiters, circuit breakers are located in the main junction box on the main circuit breaker panel. The generator bus system is so designed that if short occurs in one or more generator supply lines, the full generator system will be automatically disconnected. TMI in a very different way. Some things on the plane uses DC, some uses AC. Okay. But shouldn't it only be using DC because it's a DC-6? But sorry. Sorry, forget I said that. No, so okay, let's have a look at the diagram. That might be something that we can learn from. Hey Orsa, did that wake you up? Sorry about that. Thanks for joining, man. Ooh, this is interesting. Let's fit that to width. Whoa, okay. That looks pretty interesting. Let's see. Where do we start? Okay, this one. Okay. Let's have a look first at the instruments. Okay, 73 miles away from the VOR. Second VOR still hasn't come up. Airspeed looks good. Altitude looks good. Instruments, RPM, manifold pressure, BMEP all are in the same range. CHTs are very comfortable around 200 degrees. Carb temps, that's okay. They're actually below the yellow range, which is even better. Oil temperature still a bit on the high side. Oil pressure, fuel pressure, but everything looks good so far. Okay, good. Let's continue reading. Batteries always deliver DC. So that's also the same when it comes to these generators. Is that an accurate statement? So we have 4 engines here. Hey Panda, good morning. Hey, you might be able to help out here. I'm not sure if this is your line, this is your field. Electrical engineering. I'm currently learning about DC and AC and inverters. I'm a noob when it comes to this, so I'm reading up on the manual. If you have inputs, let me know. Might be too early for you though, for some technical things. If you have a plus sign and a minus sign, then it is DC. Alright, so this is a trip-free type circuit breaker. It should not be reclosed. Okay, let's have a look. So we have these engines here. 4 engines, that makes sense. That's pretty straightforward. And each of these engines have their own generators. And if we look at the system here, that's what we turned in here, right? The generators. We have 4 generators. We turn them on so that they generate their own electricity. Okay, that looks good. So once the engines are powered up, those generators can produce electricity. So that's these guys. And then it says here we have a circuit breaker. So they pass through a circuit breaker. That's the one at the back, I guess, or either the one at the back or the one here. No, these are booster pump circuit breakers. So let's have a look where these are. These ones, yes, generator control panel. So Gen 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, these are the guys, right? So each of them have their own circuit breakers as well. Okay, that looks good. And then there is what they call the over voltage relay and a voltage regulator. Okay, maintains even voltage electrical pressure for current output of its generator to master bus. If the voltage regulator cannot hold the generator voltage above the master bus voltage, then the oh my goodness, what is that term? Reverse current relay will automatically open. Let's zoom in a bit more here. There you go. To prevent the reverse flow of the current from the master bus to the generator, which would drain the system. Too much for my brain. Let's start with the basics. What is that red line? Let's see. Is there a legend somewhere? Okay, the red line is the current flow. The black line is the reverse current. What does that even mean? I don't know. But let's go through the current flow. So from the generator, it goes to the... What is this? The reverse current relay. Okay. So that goes through the reverse current relay. Okay. All current from the generator passes through the main contacts of this relay. This relay will open when reverse current of 5 to 30 amps minimum and upflows from master bus to generator. This prevents draining of the entire system and as a result of a faulty generator or voltage regulator. Okay. Bit complex. Like a fridge, you need an inverter. Ah, interesting. Okay, okay. So that is present in most electrical appliances, is it? Is there like a general rule when you would use DC and when you would use AC power? Alright, let's continue looking. Let me see if I can understand this diagram. So we have an ammeter here. So this one measures the amps. the amp loads somewhat, I guess. But okay, so the engine produces power. The generator creates a flow. It goes to the reverse current relay. And then there is a reverse current that goes through here. Goes through the generator control switch, the over voltage relay, it looks like. So it goes back. Is that why it's called an inverter? Maybe. Let me see. Okay, let's continue on. So it goes through the reverse current relay, and then it goes through the reverse current circuit breaker. So in case there is a need, the circuit breaker can cut off the flow, right? So let's go and look for the reverse. Where is it? You guys see it? What do you call that? Reverse current circuit breaker. There should be 4 of them. Is it staring at me right in the face? There's a generator field in here, but I'm not sure that's it. Generator control panel, these 4. Oil temperature, engine supercharger, cowl flaps, the icer. How about here? COM1, GPS. No, I don't see it. Top left 2 and 3. Top left 2 and 3. Well, there is a prop reverse here, but I don't think that's it. Maybe this one? Is it the same as the inverter, or is that a different one? Reverse current circuit breaker. Is that the inverter circuit breaker? Maybe not. There! Inverter is basically a device to convert DC to AC or vice versa. That is becoming clear to me now. Thank you guys. Still not sure how that works and why you need that, but... Oh, Nerdbark has something. Your house apartment's AC, your car is DC. Some cars have an inverter with an outlet to plug up normal home items. The outlet looks like the one in your home. Ah, interesting. Okay, so the house is AC. First, to say goodnight. How are you, wise man? Glad you could join today. Do not hold breakers manually except in an emergency. Okay, hands off. So did we find those reverser? There's reverse thingies. That's a technical term. Reverse current circuit breaker. Okay, let's continue. It should be there somewhere. The generator generates AC and you have to use an inverter in order to store the energy in a battery. Isn't it the opposite? Doesn't the generator create DC? Been lurking, busy here at work. Good luck, man. Well, thanks for lurking. Hope we can keep you company somehow. Alright, so we have a circuit breaker. We have a fuse as well over here. But okay, so it arrives in the main bus, right? That's where the current flows to. And in the main bus, what happens? In the main bus, in some areas, it goes direct. Okay, let's trace it from left to right. We have an auxiliary power bus. Is that something we should start with? Hey Bet, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. The AC is plugged with a volt. The current is in the abundant. Oh my goodness. Maybe I shouldn't have read that. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Is there another diagram? Oh, it's not done, guys. It's not done. It's only the beginning. Okay. So we have the main bus here. That's where the current flows through. It's a DC current or an AC current? I would have thought it's a DC current. Let's have a look over here, okay? 1 second. Okay, so we're still within range of that. Let me just double check that I have the right VOR tuned in. 112.05. Yes, Flora, okay. So we still are not tracking it, that's fine. Let's go through here. This is where the electric stuff is happening. So we have the DC voltmeters in the bus. That's basically, I think, determining what is appearing here, right? So if I move it to the left here, that shows the gen number 2 voltage. I think that's what it does, right? So this switch just determines what voltage is shown on this side. And this one is on the AC side. The volts on that side is shown depending on what you select through here. Now when it comes to the amperage here, we have amps on the DC over there. Okay. I have to read up on it more. Continue reading. That's great to hear, Orsa. That's great to hear. Yeah, I'm a bit trying to learn this, but I'm not sure this is the right resource to start with, because I would assume it does seem like it. Turn off track IR here. This diagram already assumes that you have the basic concepts of AC and DC inverters and all that kind of stuff. You have that already in hand. So this diagram assumes that you have that knowledge already. And me, I'm just kind of grasping in the dark, basically. We'll see if we can power through it. Alright, let's continue. So the current flow goes through to the main bus. It goes through the auxiliary power bus. Okay, there's a switch for it. Okay. So this is the switch we have. The switch where you are going to the airplane batteries. 1 second. No, it might be that it also goes towards the main bus, because I don't see a direction. Because that switch between airplane battery and ground power, that would be this guy right here. Plane battery or ground power. And that's the one for sure. But what this diagram is telling us, so if we don't have these generators running yet, so if the engines are still off, then you wouldn't have this flow. But if you have a ground power, then that can provide the power for you, right? So I would imagine that there is like an up direction. The direction of this one is upwards, going to the main bus as well. Is that how you read that? So it can either come from the airplane batteries or from ground power, but that can provide auxiliary power towards the main bus. Maybe? There's also an emergency switch for emergency lights, inverter, and instruments. Do we? Wheel well lights. Warning cut out. Oh, this one. Maybe this one is it. Emergency instrument power and instrument lighting. That might be the one. The generator runs on DC and generates AC. Okay, good. So you have two batteries, both deliver about 12 volts DC in serial, so that would be about 24 volts DC. Yeah, I think you're spot on there, because if you look here, we have 28 volts. So that may be around 14 volts each. The main bus is where the current is there. The red square has live current, and everything will be connected to the main bus. This one, right? Right, okay. But is that accurate what I said about this auxiliary power bus having an up direction going to the main bus? I guess that's maybe. Okay. Alright, so from there, what about this next one? We have another set of fuses in here. We have the starters and the propeller anti-icing. So in order to make that work, you should have some electricity, right? You should have some current in there. And that current could either come from the generators or it could come from the batteries or ground power. 1 second, what's happening? Oh, I think we lost tracking somehow because it might be too far already. 1 second, 1 second. Right, let's switch to localizer here, gyro pilot. Switch to the nav 2 or to the next VOR because we do have that already tuned in. That's going good. And from there, we go and localizer. Alright, now we have it. Perfect. Yeah, we were going out of range of the other VOR. It was too end to end. We barely managed. Alright, next one is Gosley, 115.7. 115.7. I'll go back to the electricity part in a bit, guys. Alright, there you go. VR2? Alright, not yet there, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually. Let me do a quick check on the fuel. Currently, we have around 1632, around 6,400 pounds of fuel. If you look at the flight log, so we should have 6.4. If you look at Flora here, oh, no, not Flora. Actually, yeah, it's a bit different because we're not yet at Flora. We're somewhere here. Okay, not really a good factor, but once we arrive at Flora VOR, then we should have 5.6 left. We'll check then. Okay, we'll check then once this range gets in there. All right. I don't think that's a technical way of reading it, but if it suits you, no problem. Not accurate enough. Okay, that's fine. Just for the layman. Alright. The main bus is where the current... Oh, did I read that already? Yes, I read that already. Okay, good. So for starting off, maybe that's enough. And then starters and propeller anti-icing. Okay. So if you have a current coming from somewhere, either the generators or the batteries or ground power, then that will have power supply to it. Maybe. Alright, and you have other ones, circuit breakers. So this one in particular goes to the inverters. Ah, nice. Propeller controls, fuel booster pumps. Okay, the different systems in the plane. Then you have something here. What is that? Okay, so for the cabin heater, humidifier, everything. Okay, it's turning again. It should be turning towards the radial now. To the course rather. 226 is what we set. Looks good. Alright, let's keep that there. Keep that going. And all of those, we have a fuse here. And it goes to a secondary bus, where you see that we have instruments that are DC operated, motors that are DC operated. Okay, so yes, so the statement that you guys said that some of the systems are powered by DC power. So that's what we see here. Some instruments, some motors, some heaters, they're powered by DC. So the current that's coming from the generators, that's going directly after some fuses and circuit breakers, goes to these parts. Okay, in a basic sense I get it. Alright, let's see here. We have a battery selector switch. So we have plain battery or ground power. Okay, so we have the battery master switch. That's the first thing we turn on in the plane, and then by default it's in the plain battery. Okay, so these are the airplane batteries. Let's see if there's a legend at the bottom here. No. Okay, but it's probably the same. So just double check that the aircraft is turning correctly. Are you okay? Don't you give up on me. Okay, good. Good. Actually, where are we now? Are we close? How far away are we? I think we have still a bit of time. Okay, let's spend a few more minutes here. Airplane batteries connected. Okay, so if airplane batteries are connected, we have a current going through the battery relay. It's going to the main bus. Okay, so that then means that what I mentioned, right? From the battery goes to the main bus. Okay, so that's what this one is saying exactly. And at the same time, it also goes to the battery master switch. Battery selector switch momentarily connects both ground and battery power during switch operation. Okay. Oh my goodness. And what are all these? They're not labeled anymore. Okay, but so this is what happens when the airplane batteries are connected. The other side is the ground power. Okay, so this side is the ground power. So depending on the switch you choose here, the current will be either coming from the right or coming from the left, coming from the batteries or coming from the ground power. That's amazing. Okay, so if you have the ground power set, then the ground power supply, that small thing that was below the plane a while ago, this guy, it will then have a flow towards these different things. You can see here the amber light, so it has a flow towards that light, that bulb that we saw a while ago. This guy that lights up when ground power is enabled, that's why it lights up, is because there is a current going through there. Okay, that's perfect. And then we have a special polarized relay. Not sure what that means, but that's okay. Let's continue. And that goes through the ground power relay, which then goes to the main bus. And then it also goes through the battery selector switch and battery master switch. So for sure, these two are linked to these two. Those are the ones, right? But I'm not sure why they only happen at the end of the flow. Shouldn't it be like at the beginning of the flow and then branching off to whichever you choose? Am I reading this incorrectly, the flow? Pretty detailed for a game mode. This is circuit diagram. The battery selector switch at the top will complete the circuit red line. So that one, what is that signal? What is that icon for? Maybe that goes to somewhere. That loops around maybe? Because it's a circuit, right? So that eventually flows through to here. Is that what that means? So it comes from here, battery master switch, and then the selector, depending on which you select, it goes through. If you select this one, it goes through that way, and it loops around. And if you pick the ground power, it goes from here, goes through that way, loops around. Is that accurate enough, even from a basic sense? And then when you have a ground power failure, so when you have ground power that is set, but it fails on you, then it seems like the batteries take over. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, because we have a connection here from the battery. That connection powers through the relay and continues the rest of the flow from the ground power, I think. Oh no, it ends there, somewhat. Okay, but somehow it is able to cover the ground power if it fails. Oh my goodness! I love this. Okay. Oh my goodness. We'll need an entire stream for this. Exactly. It loops around. Looping after the selector switch is not shown. That's why it's a circuit, right? Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you, Panda. That makes things much clearer. Hey, Mars. Yes, how are you, man? Glad you caught me. You caught me trying to learn about electronics. Basics. Oh, this is beyond me, but I'm trying to learn. One sec though, guys. I think we might have to stop our learning there because we might not finish this in time. We only have 45 minutes left in the stream, and 47. We have to double check where we are. First, let's admire the view. Oh my goodness, look at those fields. That looks amazing. You can even see some wind turbines below. some clouds up ahead. That is so cool. I love that scenery. So high quality. That satellite images they have are so crisp. Okay, let's have a look. We are still 87 miles away from the Flora VOR. Let's have a look here. So 87 miles. So from Flora, let's measure the distance. 87 miles is somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. So we're still in Germany, looks like. Yeah. To the north of Essen. North of Düsseldorf. Alright. So if we look to our south, if we look to our left, that should be Düsseldorf, Essen, all the way there maybe. If you can see that, maybe that's that part already. Somewhere. Pretty cool. Hey Mars, oh my goodness, 22 months already. Yes, almost 2 years. That is amazing stuff, man. That is amazing stuff. I appreciate you giving us all entertainment wholesomeness. I try. Thank you for the appreciation. Thank you for the constant support. My goodness. Not exactly electronics basics, it's more than basics. That's great to hear, man, because I'm way over my league here. Way out of my league. We're trying. Okay, looks like we'll have to postpone that, guys, because we need to step up. We need to speed up on our flight here to make it in time. But that's something that we can do during these flights, right? Read the manual, read those details. I don't know about you, but that interests me a lot. Alright, so here we can also display the range ring. That is synchronized with the simulator, I think. And that means we should be able to detect the Flora VOR up to 130 miles away. You can see that, 130 nautical miles it says. The next one is, let me see. So actually, yeah, we don't even need this VOR anymore, supposedly. Charleroi. The Ghostly Charleroi VOR. We might not need that at all because we have in range already. One second. If I remove that range ring, yeah, we have this already in range of this next one, the Châtillon VOR. Oh my goodness. Alright, but anyway, let's go and see how this approach will be looking like. Because we won't be able to do any arrivals. The arrivals are all RNAV based. They require GPS and we don't have any GPS system. So we have to be a bit more basic when it comes to that. So we have to be, let me see. Let's turn on the range for this one. This is the last VOR that we'll be tracking. So it says here, more or less, when we are, let me have a look here. Add measure. So when we are around 10 miles away from the Flora VOR, then we should have in range already that next VOR. You know what? Yes, I'll skip through this this Ghostly Charleroi. Let's go direct to that next VOR right there. Yeah, and that's going to be a 210-degree track towards that VOR. Okay, that makes things a lot simpler. That's a good way to understand how it works during cruise mode. Yeah, great turn of events there. Thank you. All right. So let's go towards the flight planning stuff, the descent stuff. So let me see. So right now, we're planning to do the ILS-27 left approach. Yes. Let me include that in the flight plan. There you go. So this bit here, we see this leg is 24 nautical miles. And we should be above 5,000 feet at the beginning. Let's have a look at Navigraph if it's the same thing. It should be. So if we look at this guy, remove that VOR. There we go. So from Flora direct, okay. ILS-27. So ILS 27 should be 5,000 feet. Yeah, from there we start descending at the 3-degree angle, capturing the glide slope at that point, 14.5 miles away from the ILS. But before that, 17 miles away. Is it 17 miles from the VOR? I think from the VOR. Yeah, 14.5 miles from the... No, it's ILS. This Charlie Golf Whiskey. CGW. 14.5 CGW it says here. Okay, so this is 17 miles from the ILS. 19.2 from the VOR. That's the initial approach fix. And we should be at 5,000 there. And if you look at little nav map, that's this guy right here. Should be at 5,000, above 5,000, but let's stay at 5,000. So what we can actually do is plan to be at 5,000 feet at this VOR, at the Chatillon VOR, so that we have 24 miles, a 24-mile leg where we can slow down. That sounds like a good plan to me. So that means we have to be at 5,000 at this VOR, and we're currently at 12,000. So 12,000 minus 5,000 is 7,000, right? Remove the thousands, so divide by 1,000, so we have 7. 7 times 5 is 35. So that means we have to start descending 35 miles away from the Chatillon VOR. So that's 35 DME. When the DME indicator says 35, when we are tracking Chatillon, then we will do that. We will start our descent. Okay, 35 guys, 35, remember for me please, because I will forget. I need your help. Okay, so let's go and tune that. Chatillon VOR 117.6. And then after that, 117.6. Let's have a look outside before we start with our sim rate increase. Oh, look at that view, guys. Look at that lighting. Oh my goodness. Yes, thank you, Panda. Thank you. Perfect. Perfect. Look at that city. That looks so detailed. Wow. And from 12,000 feet up, that is super detailed. Definitely commend your dedication to being a pro at the sim and calculating this stuff. See, average math student. Your only bad subject growing up, and still as an adult. Oh yeah. It really encourages you to be better at math with this flight simulator, huh? Very interesting. My goodness, the quality of landscape below us is just amazing. So we are 56 miles away. This is not yet the start of descent though. This is still a different VOR. So this is the one where I mentioned wherein we are 10 miles away from this VOR we're currently tracking. VOR2, NAV2 should come alive. More or less that point. So let's see if that works. So I'll increase the sim rate so we can speed up. And this is also the VOR that says when we arrive through here, we should be at 5,600 pounds on fuel. We will see if that is close. Alright, so I've increased the sim rate. You can verify that by looking at the seconds clock. Yes, it's much faster. Alright, so we have a bit of time. Should I scroll through this again? It might be scary. Inverter warning lights. Where should I even start here? The colors are increasing. Okay, these are the inverters. All three switches up. There's the fuse, circuit breaker switch. The DC current is green this time. We have a 26 volt AC current and 115 volt AC current. And a 26 volt AC current, but a single phase. What is single phase and three phase? Okay, anyway. So I would assume from a basic level, the green DC current should be coming from the main bus, should be arriving at the inverter, and it should be converted into an AC current, either one of these. The thin red line, a thick red line, or a blue line. So is this what happens? So we have an upper inverter here and a lower inverter here. So if we go to the upper inverter mainly, we have a circuit breaker there. Yes, we saw the upper inverter circuit breaker. And this DC current goes through the upper inverter. And in some cases, yes, it still branches off as DC, but it moves into AC power. Yeah, it gets transformed into an AC power. And here we have something that converts from a 115 volt to a 26 volt three-phase. And then another one which is converting from 115. Oh, I think that's still 115. That's still 115, but it converts to 26 volts single phase. That's why it becomes blue. Okay. That seems to make some sense. But yes, it will be lovely to read through this eventually. That's going to be amazing, guys. To be continued. I'll probably read that offline, but we'll go through that again in the stream when I fly next to DC-6. Now it's getting nasty, yeah, right? The higher you up, the higher the detail, since it's direct satellite view. Closer to ground, the AI map generation comes to play. That's true in a way, but also it might be opposite, because how the sim works. Oh, look at that, guys! Perfect timing. Remember what we said? Little nav map was saying around 10 miles, VOR2 will come alive, and it's alive. It's alive. Perfect. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Okay, let's go to gyropilot mode here. Let's double check little nav map. So we are on this leg right now, and it says 210 degrees would be the track towards this VOR. Okay, so let's go and do that. Let's go and track 210. That's fine, and we're close enough to the VOR that I guess we can use this as the starting point. How much fuel do we have? So we are at around 10, 11. How do you read that, guys? 11, 12, 13, 14. So around 13, around 14. So let's see. So that's 13 plus 13. Do we have 26? 26 plus, let's say 13. 26, 39. 39 plus 14. 49 plus 53, 5.3 maybe. Yeah, I guess 5.3. And if you look at the 5.3, and if you look at the flight log, 5.6. So a bit behind, but I think it's close enough, right? 0.3, 300 pounds off. I think that's close enough. That's a good estimate. That's why you have an estimated fuel on board, rather, sorry. You have an estimated fuel on board and you have an actual fuel on board. So it estimates something, and the idea is you fill this out, this blank spot here. You fill it out on each leg during cruise, so you log it there. So for us, we'll log this as 5.3. Pretty cool. Alright, going back. The single. How close are we? 2.7. Okay, we should start turning to our left soon. Yeah, let's start turning. 210. There we go, that's perfect timing. 210. Set it there. 1 second, let me read your comment. There it is, it's coming closer, it's coming closer. Looks good. We can actually tune into the next VOR already, right? Because we have that plugged in. Yes, that's perfect. So we can just go direct to that VOR. That's the plan anyway. That's more like it. Go to localizer. Perfect. Let's go straight towards that VOR. So now this is where we say, ooh, no. When we get to 35, that's when we would start our descent. That's the plan. Okay, so let me read. The single phase and 3-phase current, that is getting nasty. Oh, is that the one you mentioned? Okay. Let me recharge my brain so we can study that next time. Goodness, look at the reflections, guys. Look at the reflections on the switches. See how beautiful that is as it reflects off the sun and the dials there. Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. Each and every dial having its own reflections. Okay, nice. A bit more sightseeing before we increase the sim rate. So nice. Alright. Fast forwarding it up. Looking good. Alright. We have a bit of time. I think I can still study. So, alright. So we have it going through the inverter. Let's trace the DC current first. I think that ends quicker. So the DC current goes through the inverter. It passes through it still, so it doesn't completely get transformed. Like some of it remains DC. And then it looks like it goes through the captain's instrument and radio inverter selector switch. Okay, so I guess that indication means it goes through there and it passes through here, right? Am I reading that right? And it goes through the voltage regulator compartment blower motor circuit. I don't know what that's for, but it goes somewhere. Okay, and at the same time, it goes to the other one, the airplane the first officer's instrument inverter selector and automatic pilot. Okay, and it goes also to. It also goes to voltage regulator. Is that what it means? This sign here. Because it looks the same as this one. Does that mean they both go to this middle part? Alright. Alright, let's see. Drift meter. But yes, it looks like high level. It goes, and so using the inverter, it goes through and using upper inverter only, all switches up. So everything is going through the upper inverter, right? And that looks good. And that goes through all of these, the instruments, turn and bank indicator, radio, cabin pressure, and other instrumentations. Okay, that's cool. And then the rest is to be continued. So now we have to focus. Okay. DC ground. This one, right? Cool. Let me just zoom out here a bit. Let me see what's different. Ah, I see. So that's the plan when you're doing. Okay, this is where the interesting part also happens, because it says here, when you're on the ground, when you're on cruise and ground operation, when you're on the ground and when you're cruising, you have all switches up, which makes it like this, that all of the electricity is passing through the upper inverter, right? But I guess the inverter has like a limit. And you have a redundancy in here. You have the lower inverter. So during takeoff, during the crucial phases of flight, you actually are using both of them. So your switches would be like, one is in the pilot would be a number 1 up here, but on the co-pilot and on the engine instruments, you're using the standby for takeoff and approach. So you would be splitting the load between the upper and the lower inverter. That's actually pretty cool. So, and you can see there is no crossover anymore. Ah, interesting. But yeah, the problem is based on, so that's how it looks. 50 miles, okay, we're not yet there. So that's how it looks on paper, right? But in reality, when people have tried using the standby inverter here, so these are the up, everything is in the up position. Ideally, it says when you're doing a takeoff, then you move the standby, you move these to standby. But people have been getting mixed results from it. That when they switch to standby, this lower switch here, it doesn't really work. Like the engine instruments die. Like there is no power anymore. So it only works when the switches are up. So, and that might actually be a bug on the plane. So we'll see. We'll see. Basically, those three vertical lines mean grounding, making a closed loop. Ah, I see. The material for each item in the cab is made so good, I know, right? Basically, the inverter here is splitting up the current from the main bus to different volt currents to run different applications. Ah, I see. So on a basic level, that's how it works. Yeah. I think that's good enough for me. 1 minute. Kind of blew past our spot. That's okay because that 35 miles has a bit of allowance in there. So that's okay. So let's go and start this off. Let's turn off altitude control. Start descending at 1,000 feet per minute. So I'm moving the climb glide wheel here. There it is. Now we're starting our descent. Let me just double check that our sim rate is 1:1 again. It seems like it, but just to be sure. 1,000 feet per minute descent rate. That's looking good. Okay, 1x. Okay, good. Alright, so 1,000 feet per minute. It can descend there steeper. Just a tad. Alright, let me go through my checklist again here, make sure I'm not missing anything. Windshield heat. Check that the windshield heat, do we need to change that? Not yet, still pretty warm out, pretty cold outside. Descent power, okay. So as we pick up speed here, I'm going to pull back on the throttle. Go to 26 manifold pressure, 26 inches. There you go. And I'm going to push the propeller to 2400 RPM. It's close enough. Right? That should slow us down a bit because we are getting really fast here. You can see here we were a while ago at around 250 knots already, and that's fine normally, but we are reaching 10,000 feet and we should be below 250 indicated airspeed, below 10,000. So that's looking good. Let's continue that. And then we're going to set our altimeters. Let me see what the transition level is here in Charles de Gaulle. That's by ATC. Usually it's by ATC. So let's just say we've been given the QNH already, right? So QNH at Charles de Gaulle. Wind is at 221 at 12 knots, so 27 left. That's not bad. We have a few clouds in there, scattered and few. That's fine. QNH is 1013. Oh, Interesting, okay. 1013, so we don't actually need to change that. That's 1013 already. Cool. So that's also the QNH, not just the standard. Nice. Okay, so go back to the checklist. Sure we're not missing anything. Fuel tanks are in the main. Yes, no cross feed. Carb heat as required. Yeah, we'll monitor it, but so far it doesn't seem like there's a need to change it. So let's keep it there. Let's turn on the hydraulic system because later on we'll need to deploy our flaps, and we'll need that to be on for our flaps for landing gears to be deployed properly. Good. And let's do this. Landing lights is already extend. Five seconds. Give it 5 seconds. Turn on the landing lights. Turn off the motor. Looking good. Okay, we're at 8,000 feet. We need to be at 5,000. We need to use 3,000 times 5, 15. Yeah, looks good. Looks perfect now. That is looking perfect now. We are right on the descent profile now. Season 2 trucking. That's great, man. Enjoy it. Really love those. Really love that series. Super chill. It's the complete opposite of this one. Although this is still chill, but this really gets your mind going, right? It's just a good exercise for the brain. The trucking, especially the ETS2 Season 2, that's the relaxation for the brain. Or some downtime. Awesome stuff. Now I noticed the manifold pressure is increasing. Ah, yes, because as we then lose altitude, with the manifold pressure then increases. So we have to continue pulling that back to 26. So that we can slow down. Interesting. Didn't notice that before. Trucker for hire. Oh, it's been a while, huh, since that series. Okay, let's see. What's next? What's next is, let me see. While we're descending like this, let's bring up little nav map here. So we're in this leg already. We're around 30 miles away, so somewhere around here. And then after we cross that VOR, we should turn to the right 256 degrees. And I'm not sure if I should tune in the VOR first, or just tune into the ILS immediately, because I think the problem is there might not be the ILS yet, because this is too far away. Once we turn that VOR, no, it's fine. I think we can do it. We can keep this VOR, just keep that tracking 24 DME, around 24-25 miles away from this VOR CTL Châtillon. We should have the ILS in range. Yes, let's keep that. So 110.7. 110.7. We're almost at 5,000 feet, guys. We're getting ready to level off. 110.7. Tune that in. Right. Pitch up here. Leveling out bit by bit. Well, that's working. Let's tune in here again. Okay. Almost at 5,000 feet. Should have plenty of time to slow down. Oh, overshot it a bit. That's okay. Just come back up. That should actually help us descend a bit. Get back to 5,000. That should slow us down a bit better. And this time, just control that shallow out the descent as smoothly as possible. Altitude hold. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, the plane is still a bit finicky when it comes to that altitude control though. Alright, looking good. 90 BMEP here. Let's just keep that going. Actually, I think the right side might be a bit higher. Let me pull back on that a bit here. There you go, 90 BMEP for both. So you'll see our airspeed slowly but surely bleed off in here. 0.7, crap, missing that. Okay, let's make our turn. That's perfect timing. 256 radial. 25. Two, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That looks good. Go and track that localizer. Continue slowing down. That should be 24 miles that we can get to slow down here. And keeping a close eye on this. Sometimes the autopilot can be a bit too aggressive with its turns. Looking beautiful below, guys. Looking beautiful. Let's have a look at the chart. Let's have a look at the airport as well. Airport, so we know how it looks when we land. So 27 left is where we're landing, so we'll be turning to the left, and ooh, that looks like an interesting gate. We'll try to maybe take the Yankee 3 taxiway towards that circle thing. Let's see if that can be manageable. But this one, the approach, oh crap, don't bug out on me now. Yeah, it's bugged out. 1 second. Load it up again. Oh, don't tell me the thing. There you go. Okay, 3,200 minimum safe altitude. Okay, and we have to be 5,000 anyway for this, so no problem at all. Okay, but we do have to track. There is a Pontua. I don't know how you pronounce it. 1.1.6. Okay, 110.7, 111.6. That's the go around. Hopefully, we won't need that. 110.7, 111.6. Okay, looking good. Alright, so we are 8 miles. Start continuing to slow down here. Looking good. Let's keep that going. And then it's a 264 track. Alright. So let's keep that in. Let's intercept it this way. Let me put a 264 track here already. So that's 26, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 264. Okay. And when the ILS goes alive, then we will switch to it. Until then, let's go and check our approach here. Okay, looking good. Let me see, Let me see. Okay, slowing down bit by bit. We're at 160, 175 knots now, 176. That's perfect because we just need 174 if you look here. Flaps 0 to 30, 174 knots. That's why we need to slow down so that we can extend our flaps. And that's like 175, 174 right there. That's perfect. Should be anytime now. Altitude control, just hold that. Hold that for me. Why is it having hard time? Some turbulent winds in here maybe? So have one look outside, see where we are. Prepare for some huge stutters, guys, okay? Because we are entering a very large airport, lots of planes loading in. It's going to be a very heavy stuttering session. Stutter for the win. Okay. 170 knots there and continuing to slow down, that's great. We will keep at it. But yeah, that 25-mile leg towards the ILS is going to be perfect for slowing down. Stutter hype, exactly, that's the one. So 160, 170, yeah, that's perfect. We can actually slow down more. Let me go down to 26 manifold pressure here, 26 inches. That should be enough. Around 80 BMEP. Because I still have to go to auto rich here. We're currently at auto lean. But I don't want to do that yet. There it is, the ILS is alive, perfect. Let us switch to that. Also switch to the other VOR, looking good. Awesome. Awesome, okay. Let's wait for that needle to come closer. And then we can see, alright, let's go ahead and start with the flaps here. Going to flaps 20, flaps 10. Let's do that bit by bit. Flaps 15. Give the autopilot some time to adjust to the natural tendency to pitch up when you deploy flaps. There you go, looking good. Flaps 20, awesome. Alright, so now we go auto rich. That would increase the BMEP around to 100, I believe. Yeah, that will slowly creep up to 100. That's the ideal place that we want to be in. Maybe a bit lacking in there. We can adjust that one bit. And from there, we won't be touching the throttles anymore. Because from what I heard, yeah, these radial engines, they don't like to be constantly shifted. They don't want this constant shifting happening. Okay. Leave that in there. The airport should be right in front of us, 20 miles away. Do we see any of it already? Too far. Maybe that's the one? It might be too far still. That's okay. Alright. And then from there, carb heat, it's cold. I didn't need to apply any heat. No carb icing has occurred. Cowl flaps 4 degrees. Okay. I guess this is in preparation in case we need to go to a go around, I guess, so that the engines have breathing space in case we need to go METO power or takeoff power, either way. There you go. Glide slope came alive. You can see the vertical navigation come alive, the glide slope. It's not anymore just in the middle, no more barber strips, that's perfect. And the localizer here should come closer to the middle soon as we get close to intercepting it. Install JBX on ETS2, nice. After that, Garmin isn't able to switch off. Oh, I see. Awesome, Orsa, congrats. Let us know how you like it. It removes the Garmin black GPS mix. Oh, that's a nasty side effect, huh? Okay, there it is. Getting closer. The needle's getting closer, guys. Looking good here. Let's have a look at our instruments. Make sure we're not missing anything. Oil temperatures have cooled down a tad. Oil pressure, fuel pressure, all good. Yeah, I think we're good there. I think we are good there. Getting close, almost right at the middle now. So go to localizer. know what, we can actually go to approach now as well, because the glide slope is also right in the middle there. That's perfect. And as we start descending, right in the middle, that looks perfect. There we go, starting our descent. We've captured the glide slope, so now we can deploy our landing gear down. Let's have a look outside. That's the airport right there, I believe. Those are the gears deploying. Awesome. That looks amazing, doesn't it? Beautiful. Let's go to flaps 30 here. Now, before we can proceed any further, we'll have to stick to 100 BMEP. We'll have to slow down with that safe flap extension speed, those white arcs, that white arc. Hey, Crazy Syrup, long time no see indeed. How have you been, man? How have you been? Okay, flaps 30. Now, what's our gross weight? Let me double check. $82,000. Let's have a look at the speed tape here. The tape, 82,000. Let's say that's 85,000. So 134, 105. We approach VREF. VSO, that's the stall speed, is 81 knots. So we should not go anywhere near 81. So 134 should be our approach speed. 105 is our reference, our landing speed. So 134, that looks okay. Looks okay to me. Let's keep it there. Looking good, looking good. So let's brief the thing first. In case we need to do a go around, we'll have to... Oh crap, is that an RNAV? That's okay, let's just go direct to... Climb straight ahead to 5,000, okay. To Papa Golf 661. Continue on 281 degrees to Papa Golf 652. Then to Pontoise. At max 5,000 as directed. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll instead be climbing to 5,000 and going direct to Pontoise there. Maybe that's the alternative. Might not be the safest, but hopefully we won't even need it. Flaps 40. Slowing it down a bit more. Let's do some checks. Landing lights are good. Okay, everything looks good. Let's do a GUMPS check. This is something that you can use regardless of which aircraft you're using. A GUMPS check for landing is essential. G stands for gas. So check that you have all fuel tanks good and in the right tank assignment. So we are using the main tank, so that's good. Undercarriage, that's the gear. We have 3 greens. M is mixture. Mixture is auto-rich, so that's cool. P is propeller. Propeller, that stays at 2400, I believe. And S is for switches, like landing lights and all the other stuff. Cowl flaps may be included. Or is that part of the undercarriage check? One way or the other, as long as that's there. See it, guys? There it is already. Sure they go. Let me load up the airport diagram. It's a very long descent, huh? Very long approach. We started like 17 miles, I think. Interesting. Have a good night, Orsa. Thanks for being here. Glad to have the company, and if you're still here, that is. If not, still the same, maybe you'll watch this on YouTube. And thanks for the instructions, the education on the AC and DC stuff. That is looking lovely. Getting a bit framey in here though, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but yeah, the frames have dropped, but maybe it's because of the airport. Although I have noticed that since a while ago, so I'm not so sure. Let me double check. So elevation of this airport is 392. So let's round that down to round that up to 400. Okay, minimums will be at 587 feet. So let's say it's 600. That's fine. So we should be around 1,000 above soon. It's okay. I'll have to slow it down even more as we get closer. Let me try something. As we get 1,000 above, let me go to flaps 50. So that would be the 1,400 mark, more or less. There we go, flaps 50. That should slow us down even more. Get us closer to our VREF of 108-ish. Man, that's a huge airport, and the stutters have started. Once the stutters disappear, then I can hand fly. Let me put my feet on the rudder pedals in case we'll need it. So I think we have some winds in here. We have 221 at 12 knots, so winds are coming from the left. That's 12 knots, it's a bit crosswindy. Might need a bit of help in that regard. Stutter, 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 indeed. Yes, really hoping that's my main quirk. That's my main thing that I hope will get fixed with the upcoming huge update on July 27. There we go, no more stutters. Alright, let's turn off the gyro pilot. A bit high. Try and catch up with that a bit. Yeah, you can feel the aircraft a bit crabbing to the left, just a tad though, not significant. Following the glide slope. Still a few stutters here and there, but more or less in place. Start slowing down here. Ooh, yeah, the stutters are still not done. Goodness. Oh my goodness, we can do this. Even if it's a stutter fest, we'll make this work, guys. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Right at the landing zone. Maybe we could have landed a bit softer, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Right at the landing zone is exactly what I want. Maybe we want to stay in the middle though. Reversers, please. Thank you. Hey Rohan, perfect timing, man. Reversers, done. Give us some pics. Looking forward to some pictures, Jack. I've been lurking. Awesome stuff. That's what I've been planning, that kind of landing. A bit more firm, but a lot better in terms of the position. Because in smaller airports, we don't have the luxury of buttering it. Sometimes you really have to make sure you have to land on those landings, those touchdown markers. I think when they teach you how to land, that's the priority. The firmness, the smoothness of it is more of icing on the cake, because landing on that zone ensures you have enough space to do your landing roll. So that's what I want to learn, because oftentimes I would float, I would land right 1/4 of the runway. It's not very efficient, so even if I get like a butter landing, I don't feel good. Looks like I went past my spot as well. Let's go through the list here. Turning off the pitot heat, that overheats quickly. So once you're on the ground, you have to turn that off immediately. Turn off the landing lights as well. Pics incoming. Alright, awesome. We'll be waiting for it, man. Man, I really envy your DIY skills. Stutters due to aircraft or sim issue? It's the sim issue. Yeah. In airports, it gets stuttery because basically what the sim is doing is it loads all your aircrafts. So the more aircrafts you have in your community folder, it loads them randomly, and as it loads them, it stutters. The way the sim loads these aircraft is not yet optimized. I guess it's not loading it on a separate thread, it's loading it on the main thread. So the entire sim is waiting for it. Oh, look at this, there's like an overpass on this one. Let's have a look how it looks. That's why I hope it gets fixed next time. Oh, that's pretty cool. Overpass for the plane. Oh my goodness! Oh no! Oh no! Huge bump. Mind the gap. Yeah, and aside from those stutters, I think it's just really a very heavy airport. One more hump here. Oh. A very heavy airport with lots of details, but I really hope, July 27, we can get as much as 40% better frame rates. I'll hope that this is one of those inclusions. Who put the speed bumps on the wrong route? I know, right? Let's go through the checklist here. I do want to... Yeah, that's the one I want to stay in. Like the circular gates. Has anyone been here in real life, guys? I think we've been here, but I never noticed that. Alright, after landing, Ito heat is off. Cowl flaps. Oh yes, I have to open those. Make sure the engines get their breathing space. We don't want any one of them overheating at the last moment. Although yeah, it doesn't seem like a problem at the moment. We're barely using our engines anyway. Landing lights are off and retracted, I believe. Yeah, there you go. Nav lights to steady. Forgot to turn the seat belts on. That's fine. Sorry, passengers. Flaps can go up. I love those sounds. Man, very interesting looking gates, huh? No bridge shot? I did. There was a bridge shot. That's a pretty cool gate. Jack the Giant Troll. Wasn't me who named you that, okay? Okay, let's stop here right in the middle. Why not? Those standard jetways won't work with us anyway. Park right here, right before we hit this guy. Squeaky brakes for the win. Working brakes are set. Let me check that I didn't miss anything. Prop lever, full forward. Looking good. Cabin is depressurized. So let's check here. The cabin is depressurized. That means there is no differential pressure anymore between the cabin altitude and the altitude outside. So there is no difference anymore. So there is no pressure difference. That means the cabin is depressurized. That means it would be safe to open the... One sec, huh? I saw something. That would be safe to open the doors. Now, one thing I should have done is I should have increased this like this. Around 400. Because that is like your marker for your landing airport, the destination. So that it knows how to pressurize accordingly. But then again, we are carrying cargo, aren't we? So it shouldn't be that important. We might not even have needed to pressurize that in the first place. I think some of the planes here, the DC-6s in Alaska, they don't pressurize anymore to save up on wear and tear. Don't have to pressurize the cabin. Okay, mixture is in idle cutoff. Turn on the gust lock. Awesome. Oh, that's so quiet. It sounds so weird in a way. Looking good. Let's go to the overhead. Seat belts are, say that's off. No smoking signs. Steady lights can go off. Beacons can go off. Ignition inverters. Ah, yeah, we learned something there now. Not so clueless about that anymore. You know what? Let me do something. 1 second. Can I? No, everything is zeroed out already, so it won't really work with the inverter if I try the standby. So during takeoff, they said it has to be like this. I think. That's pretty cool. Look at that. That prevents that both of them are using the standby. So if I use the standby here, then this has to be in 1. Otherwise, if I do that, then it kind of puts them in opposite. That metal right there. Very primitive, but kind of effective. Alright, turn off the generators. And I think we're done. Let's have a look before we turn off the batteries. Welcome to Paris, guys. We made it. 4 hours, 15 minutes left. Yes. That's a very interesting building. Let's fly over there for now. Maybe... Very interesting building. I like it. And there are like small gates scattered all around it. Very fancy. And there are like roundabouts all over there. Very nice design. I like it. I can't remember which airport this is part of. If this is like part of the premium package, or if this was included in one of the world updates, the France and Benelux update. Cool. Regardless, looks amazing. Stick a photo right there. Our aircraft stuck in the middle of nowhere. Alright guys, I'm happy. Thank you for joining me on this stream. Awesome. Let's have a look at OnAir. So as I mentioned, with OnAir, when you use an accelerated sim rate, it will detect that. It will still accept it though, and no penalties there. It will just finish later, and the ideal time, like 30 minutes from now, is when that flight will really finish in real time. So all job credits and XP will be awarded when the warp is finished, so no worries there. Cool. Well, awesome guys, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate the company.
Bye, have a great time.
Bye, have a great time indeed. Catch you guys on Friday. I have a big announcement on Friday. We have something big coming next week. Yeah. And by the way, wish me luck. Today is our job day, first job day. So wish me luck, and I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks, have a nice day. Clumsy flying, and bye-bye. Side. It's a bit more interactive, I'll give you guys hints. Catch you guys on Friday. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.